So with coronavirus, I've been asked by a few people, and I don't know how helpful this is going to be, how I make cedar tea. So first, you get like a nice sized pot, fill it up with water. Part one. Then you're gonna want to get some of your tobacco and go to your nearest cedar tree. There are two types of cedar trees. Um, One is red cedar, the other is white cedar. The type you're looking for is white cedar. We are lucky enough to have one right close to our house. They grow tall and they have the flat scaly ones like this. Now you're going to want to make sure that you can get as much, depending on how much water your tree got over summer. It was pretty dry here for our tree, and there was actually a lot more dead leaves on here, but the windstorms came through and blew them off. You definitely don't want to use any of the cones, or there's like little black spots at the end. They kind of look like that. You don't want to use that. You just want to use the medicine parts of it, which would be the tips. The greener the better. And you want to remove all of these brown pieces when you put it in your cedar tea. And this is called gizik. So here's the cones. Why can't I see that? Here are the cones on the cedar tree. Seeds are long gone when they're open up like this. They usually look green when the seeds are in and they fall out. Here's some of the black tips I said not to use. Don't use that. Can't see it. There. You don't want to use those. You want it to be just all green. I think these are the cones that are popping up because it's been a weird winter. This tree was getting ready for the spring here, and hopefully it gets nice and cold and this kind of slows down a little bit. Usually in the spring it's the best time to get the best and the greenest, but right now this is what we got. You want to make sure you get enough to fill up the top layer of the pot, and I'll show you in a minute. So when the water, you start seeing the little bubbles and steam, you can start putting the gizik in, and make sure that you just pluck off all the little brown pieces. You want to use all the green. Okay. So that's my first little branch that I got, and it's looking like this on top of the water. What I usually do is I just usually cover the entire surface of the water. It'll float, and when it's been brewing long enough, you could just have it in there for a little bit. If it's really dry, it should be pretty quick. It should get done pretty quick. You could use fresh stuff too, but that works pretty much the same, but it'll brew faster with dried out leaves. So it is filling up a little bit, and I got it stacked a little high, so make sure that you spread it around evenly on the top, and we want to make sure this is completely covered. Now this would be enough here, but the more gizik that you put in here, the stronger it's going to be. So it depends on the strength of the tea that you want, and I'd say if I move all this over to where it should look, we're almost there. Okay, so we'll finish putting the rest in. So I didn't use some of these parts because it looks like it's not as green and as fresh as the other pieces were. So there were pieces that I just didn't want to use. So be careful to use the best pieces you can. You don't really want your cedar tea to boil. You just want to you want it to brew hot, but not brew boiling. Like you don't, I don't know if that explains anything, but you don't want to burn your medicine, right? You want to make sure that it's brewing at a nice warm temperature, but not too hot where you can see bubbles in it. So I'm just turning it down a little bit. When you hear that water acting up underneath the burner, It should be looking just like that. Just turn it down until you can get it to stabilize. You don't really want to see bubbles kicking in around the tea. That's when you know it's too hot. So then you're gonna let it sit here for a while and keep an eye on it. These leaves are gonna start falling down to the bottom. That's when you know you got some good tea, and it's ready to, I don't know. Most of the medicinal properties are in the vapor that's coming off here. So what some people do is they'll put, after it's boiling like this, they'll put it on a table underneath a heat pad, and they can put a towel over their head and kind of put the steam in their face. So be very careful if the steam is too much. You don't want to burn your face. You want it to be kind of like if you were in a sweat lodge and that steam was kind of getting into your lungs, and it kind of helps open up your airways, and it helps with congestion. And I've been told that the cedar tea is good for your blood. It's good for it's good for a lot of different things. But when I was sick and they had cedar tea, we had a sweat. I was very sick, and I shouldn't have went in there. I should have just rested. But my dad said, no, come in. This will help you. So I sat through quite a few doors we did on the sweat. And he was on one of the doors. He poured a bunch of cedar tea on the hot rocks, and the vapor from that just really I remember hearing my brother. He's like, yeah. It was just really hitting us really hard. So it is pretty hot. But the next day I woke up, I wasn't sick at all. I was feeling really, really good. But what I did before then is I fasted. I wasn't putting anything bad in my body. I was trying to do everything good for it. And I had a big, huge headache at the end of the day. And I felt like I had the flu. The very next morning, I felt fine. I felt like I had great amount of rest. I felt like all the oxygen was getting to my lungs. So now it's starting to bubble here. I'm going to turn it down some more. So after you get it going pretty good, then you want to go like a medium low. And probably about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, those gijic leaves will start falling down. Another good medicine I like to mix with the cedar tea is the Lakota Elderberry. You can get it at lakotamade.com. Elderberry, elderflower. It's got a lot of different immunity. I like to put, if I have a 2, let's say for 5, so like 300 milliliters here that I used on the last batch, right? So if I pretty much opened this on the last batch of tea, I used that. It was about 2 pitchers. So about, here, I'll measure it. So like a spaghetti pot this size is gonna make about a 2-quart pitcher. And last time I put about a cup of this elderberry tea in it. It helps it taste good, and it also adds to the immunity. It helps the immune system. Really good stuff. So it's been going for a good 5 minutes. It's 3:38. Let's check back in 10 minutes. So I got it basically to the lowest setting right now. That's what the flame looks like. You can see, I don't know if you can see in there, but it's getting the cedar tea color. You can see some of the leaves fell down and they're slow burning in there. Usually when all of this is sinking to the bottom or clumping together and sinking, I'll check back in another 10 minutes and see what it looks like. So that's been about 15-20 minutes right now. Usually it takes a good 30 minutes to get a good brew. Let's see if I can move some of this to the side so you can kind of see the color change. You can kind of see it with the silver pan on the bottom. But I definitely could have used more cedar for this batch. I just wanted to make a quick one because I'll probably make another batch later. Hopefully we can sit on this with the steam. So yeah, after probably about another 10 minutes and it's done, I'm gonna pour the elderberry in, and it's best to serve it hot. You can drink it cold, but the most of the medicine is going to be coming from that vapor. So you can also treat yourself to breathing that in, either kind of leaning over the top of it or getting a large towel, make sure there's no fire underneath, covering your head and making that steam kind of, forcing that steam to kind of make its way through, where you can breathe. But make sure that you test it out, because if you do it when it's boiling, there's going to be so much steam coming off there you can burn your face. So right here, that's probably a good amount of steam. Take it off the stove, put it on the table on a hot pad, and give yourself a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you can, as much as you can handle. Don't force yourself or burn your face. You can see most of this is sinking right now, so it's almost done right now. But I'm gonna let it brew just a little bit more, just to get a little bit more of that color in there. Let me see if I can get the light on. So that's pretty much it.